has the English language changed from the time of 1611 to the present? If we want to have an accurate Bible, do we need a fresh translation from the Greek into English today? Well, to answer this question, I want you to hear Dr. Norman Geisler, who's the author of A General Introduction to the Bible. This is a standard text used in seminaries and Bible colleges. He's going to ask you whether or not you know the meaning of certain English words that are used in the 1611 King James Bible. Take the test, see what happens.
On the other hand, I would say most translations of the Bible are good. And by good, I mean all the essential doctrines, all the fundamental doctrines, all major and minor doctrines come through correctly in the translation. And it doesn't matter whether it's the King James, which I'll say more about in a moment, which is archaic and the language is outdated, right on up to the NIV, the New International Version. None of them deny the deity of Christ. None of them deny the substitutionary atonement or the bodily resurrection or any of the fundamentals of the faith. So they're all good in that sense. Now, some of them are better than others. For example, I personally believe that the King James is archaic. It's out of date. The words don't even have those meanings anymore. For example, anyone who thinks the King James was let down on a string from heaven and it was good enough for Paul and it's good enough for them, I'd like to give a quiz to. What does he that letteth will now let mean? 2 Thessalonians 2:7. It means hinder. See, the word let, which means permit today, meant just the opposite in 1611. So if you're reading the original King James, you're getting the wrong meaning because you're getting a meaning that is just the reverse of what it meant in 1611. Or try this one, the superfluity of naughtiness in James chapter 1, verse 21. What does that mean? You don't have the foggiest idea. It means the overflowing of wickedness. Or what does this mean? We do you to wit of the grace of God, 2 Corinthians 8:1. We do you to wit. We just don't talk that way anymore. It means we want you to know of the grace of God. Or quit ye like men. What are they quitting about? Actually, it means be strong like men, 2 Corinthians 16:13. So here we have verses that people don't even know what they mean, and they say this is the Bible to be used. It's a good Bible. It was very good in its day. It lasted for a long time, hundreds of years. It was beautifully translated. It's beautiful poetry and rhythm to it, but it's archaic and needs to be retranslated. So we move to what I would call the better translations of the Bible.
All right. Now, realizing that, for the most part, a translator of the Greek text in 1611 would have chosen a different English word at that time than he would today, let's go back to our debate with the scholars.
Well, one of the things, he's talking about updating English, and one of the things that's been pointed out is they keep saying, well, no doctrine's changed, no doctrine's changed. The Bible is not just used to teach doctrine, it's used to preach righteousness. An example of a real problem with the New King James is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 3, where it says that in the latter days men will be without natural affection. The Greek is without natural affection. The King James Bible is without natural affection. Without natural affection is homosexuality. Without natural affection is child abuse. And without natural affection is a mother that can drive her children into a river or lake and then get up and cry. Without natural affection is the animal rights crowd that is more worried about animals or trees than they are about unborn babies. NIV takes that and says unloving, and the New King James says without love. Or it may be switched, maybe without love and unloving. Well, unloving is not without natural affection.
But so, it is the meaning of the Greek word.
But it says, hey, mine says...
Storgos, isn't that right, Dan?
Well, my Greek authority says without natural affection. Now, we have two Greek authorities.
It refers to family love, a familial love that members of a family would naturally have.
Yeah, but you see,
what is your Greek authority?
The Greek authority I had was, right here.
That's another
thing.
The
one I'm using. This is...
Not to jump in and interrupt, but that's something that's driving me nuts with the guys on the other side of the table here. They criticize, Ripplinger, among others, criticizes every lexicon out there as being liberal or biased or whatever. Yeah, I'd like to know what lexicons you have to use. If you criticize all of them, where do you get the words?
Well, if you want to know the truth, I don't go to the lexicon to change anything in the King James.
So what is your Greek authority?
Well, when I say Greek authority, I'm talking about for that. This is the Greek English New Testament, interlinear King James.
That's not a lexicon.
No. And it says, when I turn to that verse, it says right under there, without natural
But
fiction.
that means
is a
that somebody that wrote the interlinear wrote the definition in there. And
From
what
the
they're
King
asking,
James.
what they're asking is, where did that guy get his information? They're saying the way you get the lexicons is you look at the papyri, you look at all the books, you look at the ostraka, the everything that was written at that time, and you catalog how the words were used by Jesus and the apostles. That becomes your dictionary, just like Webster's, okay? Now, if that's how they used it, that's your starting point. They're saying, okay, that's what the word means. Now, the next thing is, how do you get that over, if it has changed in terms of our culture, how do you say that same meaning in our cultural setting?